Good Monday afternoon to you. Welcome to the Jon Sanchez Show on News Talk 780 KOH. It's a pleasure to be with you. Yes, that was Jason's voice that just came across the air. He's going to learn one of these days when the finger goes up and not the middle one, my friend.
Well, that's what I thought it meant. I'm just used to it. I was all right.
I know. It's all getting used to as we move into this world of video recording as we do the show. We appreciate you joining us this Monday afternoon on a rally Monday afternoon. What a difference, roughly, whatever you want to call it, 72 hours, however many hours it was since the close of business on Friday, and this market got roiled, and then the Truth Social post by the president and the after-hours session, and oh my goodness. But hey, all it took were just a few words that we'll read to you, and the market rallies. It's that simple. Let's go around the horn and make our introductions for the day. Of course, Mr. Jason Gaunt is joining us. How are you, my friend?
I am doing well. Happy rainy Monday. I don't know if it's raining
Monday
by you, but it's raining by us.
Happy rainy Monday. Absolutely. Getting ready to where I am. Dr. Dennis Sanchez, the AI doctor, joining us for our AI segment this Monday. How you doing, bro?
Hey, the doctor's in. What can I say? It's beautiful weather out here in Atlanta, about 72.
Can't beat that one. Beat that one. And my beautiful, incredible daughter, Bailey Sanchez, Director of Marketing, Sanchez Gaunt Capital Management. She's going to be joining us because, as we'll get into the topic here in just a moment, a lot of this is going to be related to marketing. So we got to have the marketing Miss Professor joining us.
But I am requesting that introduction every time I call you. Thank you very much. I like that.
That's at least that's what I say. I say, hello, my beautiful, smart daughter. How are you?
Yes.
Every time.
She's still a princess, right? She's not a queen yet.
And I get the middle finger when they show us.
We got 3 Sanchez's and a Gaunt on the show today. How about that?
Right, that's fine.
I don't know what that
I'll
makes.
adopt you, Jason, so you can at least get the last name so all 4 of us, can have the same last. I told you I'd adopt you. Oh my goodness. Well, great. Happy Monday, everybody. Glad you're joining us. What a show we have lined up for you this afternoon. After we go through today's incredible stock market rally, didn't get back all of the losses of Friday, but we made a very serious step. We're going to lay out what happened today, some of the areas of the market that moved, etc. Then we're going to get into our topic. Again, joined by my dear brother, Dr. Dennis Sanchez, the AI doctor. He is going to uncover the 7 traits of a successful solopreneur. Now, regardless of what your solopreneur business is or will be, which I think is going to be the latter, it will be, these traits literally can make the difference between a make or break type of business. And Dennis, I am so excited to go through this with you. Incredible bits of material that you're going to be enlightening us on with this checklist. But I was going to say more importantly, but as important at least, tell us about the book you're going to be releasing this Friday that will have this plus so much more in regards to it.
Well, we're going to talk about, actually, the book has a somewhat of an unusual name. It's called The Thriving AI Solopreneur Blueprint. I had to put it up there because I haven't memorized it yet, to be honest.
It's a mouthful, but I like it.
And I did change it a couple of times. So thriving is a real important word. You can hear us talk about that a lot. And it's the difference between, especially with AI, it's surviving and thriving. Surviving is where most people are, just trying to figure out, getting by day. The thriving entrepreneurs are really figuring out how to make it work for them. And they're making money doing it very, very successfully.
And that's what we want. We don't want somebody just to survive. Might as well stay at your 9-to-5 job if that's the case. But Jason, when I saw Dennis's topic this morning, you and I made brief mention on the show on Friday in regards to, obviously, Friday was day 10 of the government shutdown. And it was also the day that the White House announced additional permanent job cuts. Roughly 4,000 people government employees permanently lost their job on Friday. Not to mention, I didn't even know this. I guess in the month of September, 100,000 government jobs were eliminated permanently. Read some just absolutely heartbreaking stories. Haley, your generation, of course, has been so prevalent in regards to the gig economy, right? So many kids trying to, they get out of college, they're trying to make their way into the world. They're trying to go get second and third jobs, right? Being a Lyft driver, all these different things that are out there that, Dennis and I's generation and even Jason's, that wasn't available. If you needed to make extra money, you went to work for somebody or you started a business. But Bailey, so many of these government employees now are doing that. And it's heartbreaking, guys. Some of the stories that I read, I mean, these are grown adults. One of them, very, very highly educated, a PhD in biology. And guess what? She's out working as an Uber driver in the evenings because she's without a paycheck. And she's like, I got to do what I got to do. Right. I mean, it's no longer just a gig economy or so on and so forth for the younger generation. With this government layoffs and at some point the shutdown is going to end. This is something facing everybody.
Yeah, I don't think this discriminates on any age anymore.
Thank you. That's a good term. Discriminates. Yep, you're absolutely right. All right, Mr. Gaunt. Well, we got a lot of things to talk about today, my friend. I'm going to turn the floor over to you. Let's recap this incredible day on Wall Street, then get to our topic.
Yeah, I mean, like always, whenever we see big moves like we saw on Friday, S&P down 2.7%, tend to get folks lean in one direction on the short side, right? Hedge funds come in and smack this market pretty aggressively, which you felt a real, people trying to call the top and lean into China and concerns about tariffs and flashbacks to April of earlier this year. And, that was all changed over the weekend with, I'd say, both Trump and Xi to some extent pseudo backpedaling with their rhetoric, and seeing the futures up 1% or so last night made me smile for sure. Just given it felt like one of those, it could have rolled over again today without any catalyst. And I think Trump is well aware of that. And part of why being so close to the ability to use Truth Social to at least backpedal on things is sometimes helpful, even though it can hurt you on days like Friday. But I mean, the same themes were strong today. AI, rare earths, obviously, were through the roof, just given short base, illiquid, even though they trade tens of millions of dollars or shares a day now. Some of these stocks that traded 10,000 shares a day just weeks ago. There's a little meme mania going on. So the market is quick to reestablish people trying to chase, right? If you're a hedge fund and you got short the Metas and Googles and Microsofts, you may go run after some of these thinner, high velocity names like we talked about, the rare earths, quantum computing, those types of things. So sort of your typical rebound move. Tomorrow will be good. Clearly, we got the banks this week to see what they're going to say. The likes of Jamie Dimon and Moynihan at Bank of America will tell where banks are positioning. JP Morgan had comments today, said they were going to go out and lend to the tune of $1.5 trillion towards some of these things, rare earths, AI, all things, right? And that would be to some extent a nod in the direction of risk taking, because JP Morgan, who had been more at least vocally on the, I'd say, defensive side, certainly Jamie Dimon has clearly follow the money, not necessarily the words, stated that they're going to lean in that direction to get out there and make as much as they can with what is, I think, like we've talked about ad nauseum, the fourth industrial revolution, all things big data, speed, efficiency, et cetera. So yeah, it was a nice day to see Goldman up, JP Morgan up, Citigroup, the momentum is back on until, again, acted upon by a negative force. It could be any day, but we'll get a lot of verbiage from folks that the market tends to listen to over the next couple sessions.
I'm curious, what do you think? And I'm going to go back and rebuild from Friday in case those that missed it. But what do you think what do you mean by your comment about you think she kind of backpedals? I didn't see that.
China made comments over the weekend as well, just stating that what they were doing, they felt was a counterpunch to what the U.S. did in the first place. They didn't say that this was a ban. This was more of a, I can't forget what their semantics was, but they made some comments as well in the face of the comments Trump made. And then clearly him saying that everything will be all right. Is the meeting still on? I think that would be another strength point to the upside if in fact they did say, okay, we actually are going to meet for this and this reason, because Trump, like in the negotiation tactic, made the comment of, well, maybe we don't even need to meet. And the market had been, I'd say, warming to that meeting, just thinking that we could see at least some of the logjam break. So that's how I took it, as just some of their comments. They weren't clearly saying we're taking down tariffs, but they were less incendiary than they could have been given the tone that Trump mentioned on Friday.
Okay, so let me tell you what the markets did today, and then I want to go back and rebuild in a little bit more detail on Friday, just so everybody knows where we were, where we came from, and so on and so forth. So very strong day today, like I said, 588-point gain on the Dow, 1.29%, 46,067 was our close. Nasdaq up 490 points, 2.21%. S&P up 102, 1.56%. But let's go back to Friday, because again, this is where the disaster happened. It started, early morning when the president, to Jason's point, sent out a Truth Social post indicating a lot of nasty things about China. He said China is becoming, quote, very hostile. He saw no reason to meet with President Xi at the end of the month, and that the U.S. is weighing, quote, a massive increase in tariffs on Chinese imports. So that set the tone. We lost 878 on Friday on the Dow. We lost 820 on the Nasdaq. Lost 182 on the S&P 500. That loss on the S&P 500 was 2.7%. That was the worst loss the S&P has suffered going back to April. Percentage-wise, the NASDAQ was down 3.6, the Dow lost 1.9. So, as Jason and I mentioned on the show on Friday, there was a lot of substantial damage done. Now we fast forward to yesterday, meaning Sunday. All of a sudden, out of the blue, as Jason said, the futures took off. And the reason they took off is because all the president had to do is post the following on Truth Social. Quote, "Don't worry about China. It will all be fine." Exclamation point. And that's all it took. Everyone said, "Whoa, wait a minute." Everything that he said on Friday. And oh, by the way, in the after hour session on Friday, I forgot to mention the most important thing. He announced a 100% additional tariff against China. So that brought the average to 157% Chinese tariffs. And then again, he says, "Don't worry about China. It'll all be fine Sunday." Also, Treasury Secretary Besant on Fox Business said the U.S. and China were in contact over the weekend and that he still expects President Trump to meet with President Xi in the near future. Folks, that's all it took. And all of a sudden we go into rally mode today. So who knows, Jason, if it was algorithmic trading that picked up on those keywords and said, "Hey, the coast is clear." I don't think we should be that laissez-faire. I think, again, we've learned how quickly this market can unwind. And I want to mention one thing. Curious to get your take on this because I tend to agree with it. Many strategists today were saying that this abrupt sell-off, because, folks, it did happen pretty nasty on Friday. I mean, I don't know any other way to sugarcoat it. That a lot of it was attributed to the 2 to 3 time levered ETFs unwinding very quickly. So many investors had just, like you said, leaned into the ETF side of things, whether it was an index or a specific area like AI or technology. Levered up again some of these 2 or 3 time ticking time bombs, and they got rid of them because they were getting crushed. Right, those like the 3-time levered. Market drops 1%, you're dropping 3%, if not more.
And the crypto tape got destroyed. It was a lot of those.
Too. Yep.
Sort of whatever 4-letter word you want to call the more nefarious coins, the ones that are, I'd say, very, very, very speculative versus the already speculative crypto assets. There was a massive unwind there. I mean, some of these Solana, Ethereum, et cetera, were down 10, 15%, right? It pokes some holes in the risk asset versus safe asset story, right? I think gold held up okay, but that was part of it too. And remember, the correlation of the NASDAQ and crypto is very, 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 very high. So it's risk on, it's risk off. And so I think you get that spilling effect of one thing selling off creates other things. And flash crashes are born of. Like Friday was not a healthy day by any stretch. I think it was pseudo orderly, but it wasn't a healthy move. No, just off of a one-liner from Trump talking about tariffs.
That's how susceptible this market is to a pullback. And tomorrow really will be a telltale if we're out of the woods yet. And unfortunately, a young kid, Bailey, about your age, a big influencer, I believe he is from Ukraine of all places, very heavy crypto trader, et cetera. And like I said, a huge social media following, committed suicide in his car. Was it Friday or Saturday? Because of his losses to Jason's. What's that?
His Lambo.
Committed suicide because of his losses and because of that crypto crash on Friday. So crazy stuff going on right now, but that's the way it is, unfortunately. All right, let's turn it over to Kristen Snow right now, Traffic Center. Kristen, how are you this fine Monday afternoon? Welcome back to the Jon Sanchez Show on News Talk 780 KOH with Jason Gaunt, Dennis Sanchez, Dr. Sanchez, and of course my beautiful daughter Bailey Sanchez, Director of Marketing. All right, we're going to get to our topic in just a moment, the top 7 traits of successful solopreneurs. Can't wait. But first, let's hit the commodities, and then we'll wrap it up for the stock market recap. 50-cent rise on oil today, $59.44 a barrel. What a dang goal, Jason. $32.50 gain, $4,132.40 an ounce. I mean, mind-boggling. Just mind-boggling. And of course, bond market closed today in observance of Columbus Day. Okay. Anything else you want to add on the market side, Jay? I
think the last part you mentioned is important too, that the bonds weren't really there trading, making any thing to follow. So the market just had news to chase. Yeah, for sure.
Exactly. Okay. All right. Well, let's get to it. We got a lot to talk about on our 7 traits of successful solopreneurs. So Dennis, let's kind of start for those that may have not been following, Dr. Sanchez joins us every Monday. We focus on AI in all different aspects. We've been on a theme for the last couple of weeks. We're going to continue for a few more weeks on the solopreneur, right? There's so many people who are going to be losing or have already lost their jobs, whether due to AI or government shutdown, whatever the case is. We think there's going to be a lot of people that are going, what do I do now, right? So we're trying to help all of you by utilizing this great technology called, as Jason said, the 4th revolution out there, called AI, right? Either adopt it You can't fight it anymore. It is in your personal, your business life. So Dennis has been kind enough to teach us each and every week about it. And we've been focusing in on the solopreneur, right? AI enables so many people to start a business, a one-man, one-woman operation with incredible potential. But like anything, you got to have the foundation laid first. So Dennis, real quickly before we get started, please explain to the audience this term solopreneur, because it's new to many people.
And I'm going to add one more adjective on the front of that, the AI solopreneur, because solopreneurs have existed before, but it's a solo entrepreneur. So somebody who's working by themselves. There are lots of entrepreneurs, but there has been a rise in the number of solo entrepreneurs over the past 3 to 5 years.
Yes.
It's rising very, very quickly based on all the conditions that we're experiencing. And it's really kind of taking a life of its own. It's becoming big overnight. What you're seeing are a lot of books, a lot of training, a lot of focus on this role. And I think it's because it's something, especially with AI enabling it, is very accessible to anybody out there. Even when we talk about traits, we're talking about things people can learn. Last week, we talked about emotional traits, mindset traits, which when you combine those with having the right business traits, you've got a good combination.
Yes.
The other key point here is that you can learn all of these. I want to emphasize that again. You don't have to be a technician to become an expert at using AI to run a business by yourself. But it's been I think, probably the biggest enabler in history of
Absolutely
helping people start businesses literally overnight. So as we go through these traits, you're going to hear some themes kind of over and over. And as you get deeper into them, you're going to hear that some of these are very different than the way we were taught to run a business and to think about a business. It's just, we have been learning some of these things along the way. I think when we talk about guerrilla marketing, that's a concept that's been around for a while. Very new set of traits and things to work around.
That is so true. Before we let's not get started on this, because I want to start first. Bailey, take us into break. And I, as the marketing director, I mean, you are more in tune than anybody I know in utilizing AI for marketing, website creation, social media posts. Validate your uncle's theory that how easy it is, just from a marketing standpoint, to start a business using AI, because you live and breathe it every day, 7 days a week.
Yeah, I mean, ChatGPT stays up on my computer 24/7. But like you had said, it's not about being a high-tech IT person. It is simply about knowing how to put your words down on a keyboard, which we all do every single day. I came across this great analogy that said it's not about replacing people, it's about removing the friction between ideas and impact. And that is simply what it is if you use it correctly, putting your idea down, and it is a snowball effect of the questions that ChatGPT will come back to you. I know we covered that a few weeks ago, and make you really think about the entirety of your business idea. Very, very simple. If my mother can do it, I know anybody can.
How many hours? How many hours would it take you if I said, Bailey, I want you to start a business? I don't know, whatever it is. How long would it take you to do it using an AI?
I think I wouldn't even have to have an idea. I could go to AI and say, these are my interests. Give me a proposed few business ideas, and it would probably take me from start to finish 2 hours, I think, to have a solid business plan,
That's
marketing plan. Yep.
social media plan. I
And
mean,
tools and
all the
software that I would
funnels,
need.
all the funnels that you need. Literally, there it is, folks.
Absolutely.
Right there. I mean, right, Jason, right, Dennis. I mean,
Yep.
that's literally what it is. And like Dennis and I always joke, I've named my AI buddy, but in all seriousness, you literally can ask it, and the great thing is it'll just keep asking you questions. I mean, you literally, right, guys, you literally have to stop and go, okay, I've got enough, because it will go deeper than your mind, will ever take you, as far as questions and ideas, right?
Yep. Absolutely.
Incredible. All right, can't wait to get to the topic. Let's get moving on the news with Jack Saban. He's got news, traffic, and weather. Hey, Jack. Welcome back to the Jon Sanchez Show on News Talk 780 KOH with Jason Gaunt, Dr. Dennis Sanchez, Bailey Sanchez. 587 gain on the Dow today. NASDAQ up 490, S&P higher by 102. Like I said, we didn't recover all of Friday's losses, but made a good dent into it. But now let's take control of our own destiny. Let's talk about the 7 traits of highly successful AI solopreneurs. So, Dennis, let's get started with your first point. Let me read it. You decipher it. Number 1, the AI business trait is this: focus. I love this one. Clear niche.
It's number 1.
Huh?
It's number 1.
Yep. It's clear niche. Focus. Solve a specific problem for a defined audience. So true.
You're going to see a common theme throughout all of these traits where it's about speed and acuity, focus, not wasting time, effort, money, everything like that. Because guess what? When you're a solopreneur, you have to manage your resources. That's also a trait of
Yes.
successful entrepreneurs. So don't boil the ocean. You only have a certain amount of money. You're working all by yourself. That the idea isn't to take out a $500,000 loan for your first business you're doing by yourself. You should be able to do it with barely nothing.
Yes.
The good advice is focus on that idea. Find a niche. It's all, the common practices. Find something you're really interested in. But always, I think you're very successful if you think about a problem that needs to be solved, even in your own area of interest. Where is there a problem that could be solved that if I solve it, hey, I'll have some fun and actually have some meaning, and maybe I'll even make some money.
Yeah. Yeah. There was you just reminded me of unfortunately, a very tragic story just today. I don't know if any of you heard about this, but Lending Tree, a very, very successful online lending platform. Tragically, their 55-year-old young CEO got killed yesterday in an ATV accident on his ranch in North Carolina. But he started, they said, Dennis, to your point, that's how he started Lending Tree, which eventually got acquired by another company and so on and so forth. But he got so frustrated in the home loan experience. He's like, there's got to be a better way I can do that, and ended up building a massive multi-$100 million company that eventually got sold for hundreds of millions of dollars. Right to your point, find something that frustrates you, right, Bailey, and turn it into a business. I mean, that's just such a great
I think
idea.
that's something we see a lot is people don't have clear destination for their business. They want to do everything all at once. And I know we've even ran into that with new businesses we're trying to put together because there's so many ideas.
Yes.
So find one problem first and nail it. And then you can, deal with the rest of the problems that you want to help solve later on.
Exactly. Jason, take us to AI business trait number 2.
Well, I mean, I actually wanted to expound a little bit on what Bailey said as well. Is the sometimes you got to know whether it's a good idea or a good business, right? And that's the thing I think people run into as well. Is I think I have this great idea and it's going to solve all these problems. Can you really monetize it, right? Can you really make money doing it, or are you paying for a really expensive hobby? And I think that's the part is that business owners that we've talked to run into as you're trying to lay out that thing with, I want to do what I love, right? Like selling beads, I love beads, right? It may not be a good business. It may be something that makes you happy, a good hobby. So, something else to throw in as you're doing your research is, what is the real market for this, right? Is this a compelling income opportunity, right? Or am I just paying for an expensive hobby? Just something that I always like to think of too. I think along those lines, I think speed and all of these things are going to be helpful in the future is not getting bogged down on over analyzing what you're doing as a contrast, right? That the analysis paralysis line comes in a lot of times, that people have great ideas and they never really get them over the goal line because they spend so much time bogged down in, I just want to think of this, and well, what about this, and what if this happens, and you never end up really doing it. Work on the plan, but ultimately try to bring the plan into fruition and then make small shape shifts once you go. So speed, fast to launch. It sounds like something that the solopreneur has the ability, because you have fewer ideas or fewer opinions rather, which may bog down many
And Dennis,
people.
that's a great point, right? We use the analogy of big business is like a ship. Solopreneur is a speedboat, right? One can turn really fast, and the other has to take miles to make a turn.
Yep. You don't write 50-page plans if you're a
Not anymore.
solopreneur.
Nope.
It might be a 1-page plan, and it might be, and the next step might be going out and testing it very quickly and easily with some friends, through your social network before you take any step forward. And that's also, you really have never seen that in starting a business before. Test the idea. You test the idea when you brought it in front of investors and stuff to see if it was viable or not. But now you can go out, you can test multiple ideas. Really, we'll get into how many, there's not just a website, there's landing pages, there's all of these ways to get out there and test things. It's beautiful.
Was going to be, yeah, you just took the words out of my mouth, Bailey. That's one thing you've touched on and you've mentioned and you've done before. You can test market a new business idea thanks to AI unlike ever before through social media. You and I were just talking Friday on a new service we're going to offer about just put a slash past your, after your website name, one slash, so that you can track those leads coming in and see if it gains traction. But what does it cost you? Really nothing, right?
Right.
Explain that.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd like to mention SEO versus SEM, which is your search engine optimization, which is your free way of getting attention over the internet. And that takes nothing more than, if you're utilizing AI, give me the keywords to put into all of my content, whether I'm writing a blog, social media captions, whatever it is, to get attention to my page. There's search engine marketing, which is your Google ads that you pay for to get more direct traffic. But take advantage of SEO. That's what it's there for, to get traction for free to your business. And then you can utilize that amongst every single platform, websites, landing pages, social media pages, and test it. All you have to do, put $50 into a Facebook ad for a week or two. And if it doesn't work, that's only $50 out of your pocket versus thousands if you were to execute the idea without testing it.
Love it.
There are even ways to do serious market research. There are platforms where they have pools of people ready to take surveys and things like that. And you develop the survey. So they're psychometrically correct, meaning that it's the right way to gather research, and you can prove it when you say X is Y. You can actually prove it. So you can even take it to that level and do your research if you want to. $1,000, you could go out and survey 300-400 people in a certain niche of the market.
Perfect. All right, let's go to point number 3. Bailey, you're going to come back in on this one. Dennis, I want you to explain it first. Number 3, guerrilla marketing, savvy, content community, and viral growth tactics over big ad spends.
Put your, going back, I remember when the book came out, I don't know how many, 20 years ago, guerrilla marketing, what are they talking about? Yeah. Doing it by the seat of your pants, finding every opportunity. That's when people started, putting signs in their car and doing all those. It doesn't matter. Just find a way to get your name out there. And there's some obvious ways to do that. Now we have, things like blogging, and it's so easy to create a video and get that kind of stuff out there. We never had those opportunities before.
Be viewed as an expert, like I said, through the blogging and things. Yeah, you're absolutely.
What do you say about all that, Bailey?
I can go on. Do we need to go to break, or do you want me to
1 minute till break? Go ahead.
Yeah, again, you can do this almost for free. The blogging makes you seem like an expert, right? If you have 50 blogs out about this topic that you're passionate about, I would trust you over somebody who has no blogs at all, and they may be a lot smarter than you are. And that comes into your social media pages, giving people educational content on whatever you're selling. It doesn't have to be a direct sell to somebody. It could simply be going to ChatGPT, saying, this is what I'm passionate about, what I'm selling about. Give me 50 topics that people Google about this subject. That I had shown you a website called Answer the Public. You can go into a certain country or area, type in whatever the topic is. I put in financial planners, and it showed me over all the different platforms like YouTube, what are the top searched questions about this topic? Top one being, of course, what is a financial planner? And these sorts of things help us build content for YouTube, a free platform, again, to show your expertise in the area of something that you're selling. So it does not have to cost you anything to get your product out or your service.
Real quick, Bailey, what I'm seeing, I know all 4 of us are seeing this, and that is people will start a business and they will, like you just said, take it to YouTube to market the business. And before they know it, they've got, couple 100,000 followers and subscribers. And they're like, hey, you know what? Screw the business. I'm just going to do YouTube videos or TikTok or anything else on this one topic, right? And before you know it, they're now a quote making, folks, that you can make some serious money online through YouTube and TikTok and some of these other platforms. And it wasn't even your business. It's just you found a topic that people love to talk about and follow you on.
Yeah. That has become the new trend for years now, is even something as simple as clothing. People can now make money off TikTok. They get somebody's clothing, they wear it in a video, they link it, and now they're making a commission off of the clothing that they're wearing in their video. It's as simple as that.
The best times, folks. It's the best time to be a solopreneur. We'll continue our discussion in a moment. Let's turn it over to Kristen Stone to wrap us up in the Right Now Traffic Center. Hello, Kristen. Welcome back to the Jon Sanchez Show on News Talk 780 KOH with Dr. Dennis Sanchez, Jason Gaunt, and my daughter Bailey Sanchez, Director of Marketing. All right. If you missed any of our shows, please go to your favorite podcast distributor, pick anything up. We have hundreds of podcasts that are out there, all different topics. And if Jason and I can be of service for you on your personal financial planning and retirement needs, please give the office a call, 775-800-1801, or online at Sanchez Gaunt at Gaunt. All right, we've been talking with Dr. Sanchez about the 7 traits of successful AI solopreneurs. All right, guys and gals, let's go to point number 4, sales mentality, product-led sales, automated, self-service sales funnels. What I love most about your point, Dennis, is generate revenue 24/7 without a massive sales force.
That's right. I think Jason needs to weigh in on this one. Lean in, not weigh in. Sorry.
Lean in.
We all need to
Wrong word.
lean in. Yeah, I mean, ultimately having a product that sells itself, right? Something that you don't need to be out hustling to sell vacuums, right? Ultimately, the vacuum, if good enough, sells itself. You're just there figuring out ways to make the transaction as easy as possible, as clean as possible. And that people don't spend enough time on that. They sort of sit there and think, oh, I got to sell this and I got to do this and I got to. But if you can figure out a way to make the impulse buy even more clean and impulsive, all the better, right? So it's not about adding a bunch of salespeople. It's about having a process that, just like Jon said, is pajama money. It's you wake up in the morning and go, oh my gosh, I sold all these widgets merely because you made it so someone saw the widget, could buy the widget, didn't have to go through 800 hoops and, figure out a way to not buy it, which a lot of times I feel like you end up on websites of like, I was going to buy that thing, but you made it too hard. So I didn't.
Right. Bailey, within an hour on AI, you could create that website, create the social media post, go to something like a Shopify or obviously Amazon or something like that, post your product on there. What would be an idea for everybody? What do you see in all of your searching that's just like a hot idea right now?
I don't know if I could touch on one, but to be specific to even Jason's point of the vacuums, I have actually caught myself wanting to buy a vacuum on TikTok. It was maybe a 10-second video, and they showed how well it picked something up. No words, no nothing, but it was a comparison, and that sold me immediately, right? So
there.
You don't need genius video production skills.
No.
It could be as simple as
but your point is, you saw it on TikTok, which you wouldn't think us old farts were like, oh, there's advertisements on TikTok because I don't use TikTok. But you saw it on TikTok. It took 10 seconds. There was no major TV commercial or anything else. You saw
and
it
it wasn't even an advertisement. There was no
words.
advertisement either. They didn't pay for it. It was simply putting a video and the correct hashtags. Again, boomers, if hashtags scare you, go onto ChatGPT and say, what is some good hashtags to use for my vacuum video that I'm selling? And having a landing page that goes directly to it.
Bailey, you can do affiliate marketing too, right? Where you can kind of come out as an expert. You see that a lot. I tried out these 5 products, like on Amazon. I tried out these 5 products, and here's the best one, right? Where they've already done the review, the testing. You're just trusting that person's review. It's amazing how the success some of those.
It's a whole new sector of entrepreneurship at this point, of being someone who reviews or uses a product and posts that video to social media. And now you're monetizing while you sleep, also getting that pajama money solely by putting a video out by how much you love a product, even if you don't.
All right, guys, I'm going to run through 5, 6. Dennis, wrap us up on 7. Community and personal branding. Build that follower or that following or that user community, right? Once you have that tribe, they will buy anything from you. So easy to do through, again, social media and marketing. Technology first attitude. Obviously, use technology to your benefit. It's there. It doesn't cost hardly anything, if anything at all. And look what it can do. It can give you access to the entire world. Dennis, wrap us up on the commitment to upskilling, right? This is so important with 30 seconds or so remaining.
It's that it's the commitment to continuous learning, and you won't survive as a solopreneur, an AI solopreneur, if you're not always iterating. They call it iterating, changing. You might change every day. It's okay when you're an AI solopreneur to do that. Again, that's very different than old business. They stick with it for 5 years. No, you change it tomorrow, change it tonight. You have the power. You're the one making the decisions, right? So you can do that. That's the difference, but you have to stay devote some time to learning the technology, what's going on with regulations that might affect your business, what's going on with your target market. Those are the things.
Beautiful. All right, folks, there it is. The top 7 traits of successful solopreneurs. If you'd like a copy of this list, by all means, just send Bailey an email at info@sanchezgaunt.com. She can get this list over to you. Thank you all for joining. Great time today.
Let me correct you real quick. That email is bailey@sanchezgaunt.com.
Well, okay. All right.
That's why I do the marketing.
Customize, baby. That's right. That's why you got the big bucks.
Will be.
That's right. God bless everybody. We'll see you tomorrow.